I feel like we shouldn't be watching him. Or maybe we should put on some Barry White. Oh! Oh my god. That was the freakiest thing ever. What is this thing doing? Dude, stop looking. There you go. There you go. That was crazy. When the head was back there, it looked like it was really coming out naturally. Hello everyone and welcome back to Monotonous Minecraft, episode 13. So you can see that I continued a little bit off camera since where we left off. I got the rest of my trap chest in place. I did a lot. I realized this past week that I should start doing some of the fun stuff on camera instead of off camera. So I've got the sorter in place. I've already got everything set up for the items we'll be getting from our mob farm and from our AFK fish farm. It's all sorted out and ready to go. Let's see, what's it? This is the platform that the mob farm, the mobs that fall out of it will land on to die, and it just feeds into the sorter here and goes down. We're only sorting out these 4 things. 3 of them are useful. This will just be so it's easier to get rid of the zombie flesh, because that will probably fill up quite a bit. This is going to be the entrance for what we're going to build next, which is the mini sorter and smelter for the fish that drops out of the AFK fish farm. As you can see here, I've got cooked cod and cooked salmon sorting into these chests already. I just dumped some stuff in there that I had. So we're going to actually be sorting out the cooked stuff, any raw stuff that may get sent through, and we'll talk about details of why certain things may get through to us anyway. We'll just dump in our overflow, and this will probably have to empty out more often than we want to, but that's just what happens. And actually, you know, if it becomes too much of a pain, which I don't anticipate it will, but if it does become too much of a pain, we should just be able to add multiple columns here, multiple stacks, that will, when this one fills up, it'll back that up, so it'll just go over to the one to the left. So we can add as many as we want until we, well, run out of space, really, which this world goes on for a while. So anyway, the sorter I used was from a name I wrote down, and let's see. Hold on, let me refer back to my book where I got all my cool information. I hope I wrote it down, because I meant to write it down because I don't remember if I know the person. Let's see. It just says item sorter. Trying to remember. It's not the one. There's one that's fairly recent from Skippy6 Gaming. It's not that one. Is it Ray's Works? I should know what this is. No, it's from Redstone Innovation, and I will put a link down in the description. It's slightly different than some of the ones that I know that Mumbo has used, which is kind of what I was basing it on, but it's one I like, and it's got overflow protection. And it just kind of looks neat. I don't know if that's who developed originally. That's just a video I found for it. So before we jump into building this crazy contraption coming up here, which we'll go into some more details, but I've been spending the last few days trying to figure out the thing, and I think I've got the best of all worlds that we can do. But first, I want to take a trip. Let's take a trip to one of the villages where we left off last time. You know, I was asking about how do we get villager spawner or villager breeding going, and I kind of just shortcutted it with a pseudo village setup so they would generate for themselves. So let's take a look there. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up fake houses, do the mechanics of Minecraft. So I figured out the issue I was having with breeding villagers is that there's a certain calculation for how many villagers should be part of the village based on doors, which I knew then. I was adding doors, but for some reason I was kind of getting my number of doors and my number of villagers for an iron golem to spawn confused. So I looked that up, and it's for this version of Minecraft, the Legacy console stuff. It should be like, what is it? If the number of villagers falls below 35% of the number of doors, then they breed until they get to that point. Only if they're ready for breeding, which is by shoving food in their face like I was doing with the carrots, or trading with them, which of course most of these are nitwits, so I can't trade with them, so I just shoved a bunch of carrots in their faces. But anyway, the way the game determines if it's a proper door in a village is there's a door laid down, and the space 5 in front of it is open to the sky, and hold on, there's lots of details. So essentially, if the spaces in front of it up to 5 are greater on one side than on the other, then it equals a house. So in this case, the block down here underneath these blocks doesn't count as open to the sky. So there's only there's 5 spaces in front, and there's less than 5 on the back because I've put these blocks in to get my grass to grow. But in general, it's 4 because of this thing. So I laid down like 24 doors and the spots behind them, and then started force feeding all my villagers carrots, more carrots, until really they just stopped taking them. And it worked. I got some new villagers. Let's see, look, we got over here a toolsmith, which I've already traded up because, well, that's just a basic iron shovel. But an iron pickaxe with fortune 1 and a breaking 2 is not bad. And definitely a diamond pickaxe with a breaking 3 and efficiency 3. I've already, let's see, I've got one of those here. That was a soaked up one I did before to get turtle shells, but I've never come across those. And I've got my fortune 1 here, so I can kind of get a little bit more coal out of blocks. And then another one of those generated somewhere. Oh yeah, so here's another one. And this one, looting 1 sword, sharpness 2 and a breaking 1, not bad, not great, and efficiency 1 axe. So I mean, with the AFK fish farm, we'll get a lot of what we need already, so those things don't matter as much to me. I think I mentioned in the past the trading, because we're getting so many books out of it. My goal really though is to try to keep these breeding enough so that we can actually have an iron golem generating these to help protect them. Also moved this door back here. See, that one's all in love mode now. Are we going to see the miracle of life? I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, I moved this door. Looks like we might be. It was over here. This is why we got the 1 piece of orange glass that was left over. Moved over here because it has to be, the blocks above it on the side have to be transparent. You know, pseudo-transparent, which is why this one worked fine, because, you know, steps are technically transparent. But this gigantic thing wasn't working because it was, you know, not transparent block. So I've now, what is this? I feel like we shouldn't be watching him. Or maybe we should put on some berry white. Oh! Oh my god. That was the freakiest thing ever. What is this thing doing? Dude, stop looking. There you go. There you go. That was crazy. When the head was back there, it looked like it was really coming out naturally. Yes, the miracle of village childbirth. Not something I had planned on sharing in this video, but hey, if it works, it works. I was happy to see brown coats because any villager with a brown coat can be used for a villager breeder, which I'll probably set up at some point, not because I necessarily need one, but just for something to do. And as I mentioned last time, there's just a massive amount of farmland here for no apparent reason. And this is definitely going back to utilitarian block-style housing, as opposed to this one I did over here. Once again, mixed colored glass, and I dug this in so it'd be lower. Excuse me there. Come on, move. So it'd be dug out in here. Just it's kind of neat. And then I did since I got the orange acacia door, I put in the orange glass on this side, just kind of matched up. But if you look at it, it kind of looks like a weird villager face almost. So anyway, I did this also to the desert village over there, and I don't think it's produced as many. I had lost one of my villagers over there. I had a nitwit, I had a cartographer, and I had a cleric or clergy, whatever it was. And the nitwit disappeared on me, so I don't know where the hell they're doing it. Villagers are kind of dumb. They kill each other, or themselves. So I'm sure he killed himself somehow, being a nitwit. But at some point I'll kind of hang out there for a little bit like I was doing over here, and we'll breed those up too, just to make sure we have them. Anyway, let's go back to the center, the main base, and let's see what we can do to continue this giant project we're working on. Okay, we've got all our stuff set up. I threw on some feather falling boots. Just made them up real quick. No other protection or anything on them because I'm just trying to help myself in case I fall. Because from this point on, we're building kind of high up. And so the considerations we're doing here, I mentioned before, my plan was the AFK fish farm would do a little mini sort where all of the cod and the salmon would go out to one location, and then all the bows and fishing rods would also go down there so that we can use an automatic smelter to use the rods and bows to cook the fish and then send everything back down the pipe, and everything else just gets fed through there automatically. Doesn't get sorted out. Now, it was Skippy6 gave me, I saw a sorting video very recently. He put out there that does sorting by when you have a stack of 64, a full stack, if you have a quarter stack, or 16, or single items. Now, I did not realize before when I was planning this that the single items are any single item, not just a specific thing like a bow or a fishing rod, or even like a water bottle. So I had to readjust my plan. So basically what we're doing now is we're still going to separate out both the fishes. And then we're going to separate out all single items. And I think about the way that furnaces work and the way hoppers work is that furnaces will obviously only ever take anything that it can use as a fuel. So it'll use any of those wooden implements as fuel, but not, like, for instance, the water bottles I brought up. So the water bottles will get stuck in there and tend to just clog it up, and then that's all she wrote. And you can't just, because of the way that hoppers always look down before they try to go over, which is how these sorting systems even work, it would tend to send all of the stuff straight down, not just the stuff that we can't use for fuel. And so essentially what I've done is I created a little, I used a timer circuit. Oh no, I just realized. Okay, so you know how Etho has this timer circuit of which we talked about, when I built this. And I said there's another one that uses sticky pistons, which is why I didn't use it here. I just remembered I designed this build around the one with sticky pistons, which means I need to go get some slimes first, which means I probably should turn on my slime farm. Boy, this is what happens when you don't plan well. What we will do is we will get everything together and put in what of the timer we can. I could, quite frankly, use this timer function. It's the same thing, but this is a lot bigger than what I want to. I'm building up in the air. I want to kind of keep this stuff small. So I'll put that timer circle off to the side once I get some slime. So anyway, and that will probably have to be before we get the rest of this build in, because of course it will be. Oh me. So anyway, the idea is that it uses a timer. It locks the hopper below the hopper that feeds into the furnace. And so that means that things won't fall into. So this is the furnace hopper here, and this is the locked hopper. Let's do the bottom one. That's just why I arbitrarily choose. Let's say this is the furnace here. Imagine with me, if you will. You'll see it soon. This feeds fuel into the furnace. But if it gets filled up with water bottles, nothing's going through, and then nothing can flow into it. So it'll flow down. Otherwise, but if we don't lock this one, in other words, if you put a redstone torch on it, it locks it, so stuff can't flow through it. The fuel will just flow down too. So what we do is we lock the bottom one, which means that this one fills up the 5 slots with single items. Any of the fuel gets sent into the furnace. And then this one is on a timer is connected to the torch that's keep this lit, that's keeping this locked, and periodically just shuts itself off. That way stuff can flow down and move on. Now, because there's 2 types of fish, and the way that this works, what I decided to do is I've got a double system, and also because the timer, just because of how it is, will tend to let fuel through as well, which I'm okay with because we're not going for 100% efficiency here. We just kind of want to get ahead of the game when we're cooking our food. So this one is always on, meaning these things are, if these were hoppers, they'd be locked. And then when this switches off, it blinks a little bit, and it would turn them on if they were hoppers. So we're not going to 100% efficiency. We will no doubt find that we have viable fuel ending up in this back row of chest. And I don't know what I'll do with that. I mean, it's possible that maybe we'll use it for a manual fuel source here and there. It's not really efficient to do that, though. It probably they'll just end up getting tossed. But anyway, so as a kind of a backup, to make sure we catch as much as possible, is we'll have a diagonal setup where if this is the main hopper going into the furnace, there's a furnace right in front of it. This will be the secondary one. So this one's locked. Stuff will flow here. When this one gets unlocked, it'll flow here, and all the fuel that just happened to make through that first locked furnace will get sent into this furnace, and then down here is another locked furnace that just sends the rest of it into the rest of our sorting system. So it just kind of doubles our chances that we'll pick up the fuel in order to use it. And there's a lot of factors in here. I mean, we're going to get a lot more fish than we get any possible fuel anyway, so the fish will definitely back up. Which is okay because we're using the same type of setup that has overflow. So when there's overflow, it'll just get sent down here, not be sorted, and get sent over here, which is not ideal. But we can always convert this to include raw fish if we need to at this end. Otherwise, we'll just kind of dump it too. I mean, quite frankly, we're going to have way too many resources of the fish kind. Like, we'll have way too much of this and not enough of anything else we need. And primarily, this thing is all just so we can get some more gunpowder, so we can make TNT and we can blow up giant mountains easier. Arrows also come in handy once you start turning on mobs. And of course, bones for bone meal and stuff like that. Anyway, these are all kind of useful. Like these things, so we can actually create tripwire hooks, so we can actually create our trap chest when we need them. So I have built this already. I built it on my Vita because that's what I use when I'm not interrupting my family. I really should start up just a random redstone and trial world on my PS4 so I can start sharing what my plans are with everyone. So the fun here is that, of course, building it as a test, it's not going to be exactly like I built it here. This is already dark again. I've talked for 10 minutes. I need to edit most of that out. I won't, of course. It's all useful information. Can't even see that with a straight face. So while we're sleeping, we'll jump back in and we'll actually start the process. Okay, so this is the part that is coming with the single items. So this is going to be the output from the mini sorter we have up here to fill up this chest. These will flow down here. What can get used in this first furnace will go there. This hopper down here will be the locked one. When that unlocks, it'll feed this one, this hopper, which feeds into that furnace. Oops. Then this hopper is the second hopper that'll be locked, and when that gets unlocked, it'll feed around here, back into chest which goes into our sorter. This will be one of the fish, and this will be the other one. I don't know which is which. It don't really matter. And that will come up off the top. And then back here we actually have the timer will control both of these locks. And the way I've got it set up is this one will go first and then allow this hopper to fill up, and then there'll be a delay. That way we're not just sending everything through at once, because that's what would happen if you just had a trigger bit the first time. I'm pretty certain. So I'll have I think I put like a 4-tick delay on it just to be safe. Okay, now we've got the inputs from the fish into the other hoppers. Boy, there's a lot of hoppers. Get some iron. You're gonna need it. One of the reasons I like using these chests in between is not only to make it flow through quicker, but it does mean, you know, less iron. More wood, less iron. Wood is fairly cheap. It's replenishable. Yes, I'm using duplicating, but if I wasn't, then I don't think I'd be able to do this. Certainly not this early on. So then, well, okay, so the way the sorting works, you can put the 64 and the 16 next to each other. Not that either one of those are. These will both be 64. But the single one does have to be separated by 1 in order to work. Why? I don't actually know. That's above my pay grade. I play around with redstone at this point. I don't claim to know a lot about it. Sometimes I can kind of figure out the explanation. But since redstone is essentially like electrical engineering, and that's not my forte, I was a mechanical engineer until the physics and science, computer science. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is that these circuits are much like when I'm building circuits for, let's say, a guitar project, which I have done. I find a circuit that works online and I just follow the diagram. That's what I'm doing here. People who spend a lot more time than I do on this figure this stuff out and then share it for all of us to enjoy. There's a good view up here, though. You can see that, you know, I've already got so much. This whole center part is essentially already filled out and lit up. I did clear out some more of this beach for the turtles. Of course, they have never shown up again, so that'll be fun. I'm prepared for them, though. But now we got to get this sorting thing worked out. I'm assuming, I think I might have enough hoppers for this. So okay, so this sorter is going to be the same way here. You got these diagonal blocks down, which I've got plenty of diorite to do. That'll be our sorting block. You've got this one facing into the comparator. This is a repeater down here and a redstone torch. This creates some sort of circuit that essentially, now once again, I don't really know, but essentially this is filled up with dummy blocks, and then the one block we want to sort out so that, in fact, I should be able to, come on, let me look at it. Let me look at you. There we go. So I've got my cook cod and my subscribe blocks. Subtle, I know. 21 in here. This is the 22nd. And that will essentially, this comparator will compare the things flowing through. And if they're, because of what a comparator does is see which has a greater signal. Whoops. Somehow magic happens and it can tell what needs to go in there. There, that's a solid explanation for you. Okay, so there's our finished, oh, that's real easy to see, isn't it? There's our finished mini sorter up here that feeds the different fish into the furnaces. You can kind of see up there. Hi, furnaces. And the fuel into the back of them. And this weird thing over to what's now the left, that chest, that's the overflow that gets sent back into that chest, which feeds into our sorting system, our main sorting system. and then down to this. I've got it set up now. The mini sorter should be working. What I'll do next time is plan on getting the can I do that here? I think I've got enough room. We'll just build a platform kind of underneath most of this that will hold our hopper timer and our circuitry to lock and unlock those hoppers when we need them to. So this bottom part is built up and ready for that. Like I said, though, I need the 2 slime balls, I think. Is that what, do I need 2? Because I think I only need 2 sticky pistons. And so what we'll probably do is actually I'll build up the slime farm, and then we'll turn on the first time we'll actually turn it to hard, get a few of those, at least one slime dead, and turn it right back off. And so we can get those slime balls and finish this part of this build up. So this is like 3 parts of a massive build. This is the landing, the sorting system, the landing platform for the mob farm, and the mini sorting and furnace for automatically cooking our fish from our AFK fish farm. So we've got a lot of parts to build for this here in the near future, but that'll be what we spend most of our time on until it's done. And at that point, we can actually do a little AFK and see what we get, and hopefully everything will work out fine, and we'll have to figure out what the problem is, because yeah, trying to decipher this in the air, not very easy. So anyway, thanks for staying tuned in for this long. As always, like, comment, subscribe. This is Fred, Monotonous Minecraft. Talk to everyone later.